one barracks, maybe two barracks, and then like 2 or 3 factories, you're in for a totally different game. It's really all about scouting and knowing what's effective against what. And here, see again, no vision just allows Germ to expand wherever he wants, and again, this suffers from being indefensible. However, it's not quite as bad, I don't think, for Terran because of all the things they have to set up a position. Bunkers and walls and tanks and all kinds of things they can defend with quite a small amount of units. With Zerg, it's totally different. Setting up a defensive position as Zerg is really either really expensive or ineffective, because it costs you drones to make your creep tumors. You have to produce a hell of a lot of drones. It cuts down on your military. It's more difficult. You usually see Zerg expansions relatively undefended, like something like this, right? But this isn't going to hold off nearly as much as bunkers and a tank. Not even close, right? So he's just doing the smart thing here, getting his Zerglings in behind for like a surround. But he's waited so long, and he has so many minerals banked up, he's not at an advantage at all. He only ever got one ranged upgrade, which is just terrible. This evolution chamber's been sitting here doing nothing. Let's see if Jeremy actually got any upgrades. He did get 1-1, which isn't a whole lot better, but at least his money's low. Upgrades do help spending gas, though, so that's something Jerem could work on. But I mean, this guy, just tons of minerals. He needs to spend it on something. He even got a Spire and never got any air units. I don't understand. That's a complete waste of resources. Not that he has to worry about that at all. But yeah, he just sat on this advantage he had. And now look, Jeremy's at 185 food. And he's only 8 food ahead. And his food sucks because roaches aren't worth 2 food compared to other units. In case you don't know, they were actually 1 food for most of the beta. They were considered too strong and increased to 2 food, even though they really aren't a 2 food equivalent unit. I don't think. They're cheap, though, and they're early. That's the whole point of roaches. Yeah, like, the Zerg has no advantage whatsoever here. The range on these, I don't even know what that says there. Anyway, the range on these tanks is just going to turbo. And look, he loses his roaches out front. Hydras come in late. The roaches are all dead by the time the Hydras come out. And look at the lines. Here's Germ's line. Everybody's ready to fire. They're all just lined up, ready to go. This line, no. These first few guys are going to get owned while these guys try and shuffle around over here because he's walking into these tanks. Now, he is doing the smart thing here and bringing these Zerglings in, but I'm just going to slow it down a little bit here. But the tanks see them. If those Zerglings were coming in right as the roaches approached, like right after the roaches took the very first volley, if these Zerglings ran in, that would have been the perfect timing. Now I believe he target fires. See, they're all bunching up because he actually, I think, right-clicks on one of these tanks. And they all go to the exact same spot and just get nuked. They don't do anything. He needs to have a bigger spread, have the roaches absorb the damage, and come in and try and take out these tanks. Like, maybe if he brought his Zerglings to here first, and then ran them directly south on an attack move to just cover this area where the tanks were, instead of right-clicking the one tank and getting them all bunched up like that, and a little bit earlier as well. So this just doesn't go well for the Zerg at all. The Hydras cannot withstand this firepower. Compare the hit points, 125 versus 80. Yeah, the Marauders, and with the healing and the stim packs and everything, it's just not good to be in a stand-up fight like that, especially with the tank fire and everything supporting. You want to have some kind of AoE. That's what the Terrans got here, is the tanks, the AoE. Need infestors or, mutalisks would have been great here. Look, he's got nothing. No anti-air whatsoever. A few mutas would have just really caused Jeremy a lot of problems, but he never got any. He got the Spire, didn't use it. Got these geysers up, didn't mind from him. Finally, he's producing from this larva. Oh my god, that is so late. And the units are just streaming in one at a time. And remember what I was talking about having the most guns firing? When your units are streaming in like that, the first one dies so fast and you lose a gun. And then the second one dies so fast and you lose a gun. Meanwhile, all these units are standing here, motionless, firing. Well, all the roaches are getting into position. Now, I'm sure that was just a mis-rally. He probably forgot they were building or something, but really what he wanted to do was rally to them to like here until they all came out, and then move them into a straight line ready to charge in, or wait for the Terran to advance, although that can be tricky with the with the tanks there, letting the Terran advance can be tricky. You kind of want to advance right as he does at the same time. I want to back up because there's something I missed that I wanted to mention here. The Zerg had an opportunity, if we just rewind. I think I've gone too far. Put it on faster here. I think I missed it already, in fact. It was earlier. There was a earlier point where Jerem moves his tanks up to about here, and the Zerg forces were all ready, but they don't engage. And then the tanks siege up, and then the Marauders come in, and then the Zerg engages, and it's like, oh, he even had an Overlord right about here. I probably passed the point in the game, and I'm sorry, but he had an Overlord. He saw the tanks coming up. He needed to react quickly and move everything up right as soon as he saw those tanks move. As soon as they approached the front line, that would have been the best time for him to counter the push. But again, that was quite earlier. And this game is pretty much over. These total waste of money, waste of a queen, didn't even produce out of them. Just didn't take advantage when he had it. And the last-ditch effort, sending the workers in. A lot of time in a close game, sending the workers in is actually a pretty good idea. You can actually surprisingly survive some pushes and come back. And here's all the roaches streaming in, and that's just brutal. And all of these, Jeremy's huge reinforcement army here, just over for the Zerg. So yeah, scouting. Always remember to scout. Always get a big economy and make sure you use it. And if it's looking long game, get upgrades. Make sure you keep your spending even. See, uneven spending. Way too many minerals, not enough gas. Jeremy's the opposite. So they're both kind of screwing up there. The idea is to keep both your resources low. Spend on units that will make sure that your resources stay even. Because that's the most efficient way you can spend. Anyway, hopefully you were able to learn something. I probably could have done this better, but whatever. This is what we got. Let me know what you think. I can do some more of these, possibly with a Protoss in it. I think I know a little bit more about Terrans and Zergs than I do Protoss, but I'm learning. So, Amaretto calls it GG, and Germ's army is just too much. Amaretto, I think, just played much too passively that whole game, and never pressured. Jeremy never even tried to figure out what he was doing. He just sat in his base waiting to be annihilated. See you next time.